Today we're taking a look at Angel, one of the fighters from the Unmatched system of games. So Angel is from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer set. Angel is a character from Buffy that eventually went on to get his own spin-off series, although most of the references in the deck are from the Buffy series and not from Angel's individual show. Angel is a vampire that has been cursed with a soul. Cursed because his soul was returned to him so he can remember all the nasty things that he did in the past. And if he ever finds true happiness, that soul will be ripped from him. That is pretty awful. Faith is another Slayer like Buffy, but one that went rogue and went kind of nuts. Angel is one of the few fighters in Unmatched that has actually had to fight his own sidekick at some point. Angel is a melee fighter with a health of 16 and a move of 2. His sidekick Faith is also melee and has a health of 8. Angel's ability is after Angel or Faith attacks, if you lose the combat, draw 1 card. So we're going to see that most of Angel's card draw is going to come from his ability. He does not have a lot built into his deck, which is kind of part of that. We'll see that Angel has kind of a purple and yellow look going on here. Purple and yellow being opposites on the color wheel, so they do complement each other well. So let's go ahead and take a look at his deck here, starting with Angel's cards. First one we're going to have is Angelus, Scourge of Europe. This is a attack of 5. Just a blank 5 with no effects on it. He's got 3 of them, so there's that, I guess. His next one is Cursed with a Soul, 2 copies. This is an attack of 4. If you lost the combat, recover 1 health. So if you lose this one, you get some health, and you end up also getting the card draw with your ability. So if you can lose this one, you can do pretty well with it, but it's a 4. And that will usually end up winning against most defenses, so you don't expect to get a lot of card draw with that, or with Angelus either. Wisdom of the Ages, 2 copies of this. Draw a card, so you can end up drawing 2 cards with this one if you won, which you could possibly do with a 3 there. Going into Angel's defense here, Haunted by the Faces. If you lost the combat, you may place Angel in any space in his zone. So you can see a lot of this losing combat kind of being built into a lot of his cards there. You only have 2 of those. These are the only straight up defense cards in the deck. Everything else that Angel has to defend with will be versatiles, which since he's got purple, he probably likes versatiles. Brooding. Now this is a very apt card name for this character. Versatile of 3. If you lost to combat, the opposing fighter takes 1 damage. So once again, a little bit more if you lose abilities going on in there. Now we get into Faith's card. Faith has 2 5x5, which is like this saying that she has when anyone asks her how she is. It's never really explained what that means. It's an attack of 5. Move Faith up to 5 spaces. 5x5. She may move through opposing fighters. Okay, this card here, this is like way better than Angel's 5s. I mean, it's just a blank 5 on Angelus. This is 5x5. That's, yeah. So Faith's kind of got better cards than Angel in many regards. Rogue Slayer, 2 copies of this. Versatile 3, deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter adjacent to Faith. Well, once again, this is better than Brooding, because Brooding is if you lose, you get to deal to the opposing fighter. This is just straight up deal 1 damage to every fighter around her. So she's got some good AoE built into this here. This is really good against like those 1 health sidekicks that you can attack that you can attack somebody, and if you have some of those other ones adjacent, you can just clear those guys out and get totally rid of them. And then we have Faith Scheme. This is the only scheme in Angel's deck. Killer of the Dead. Deal 2 damage to 1 opposing fighter adjacent to Faith. So that's just like 6 auto damage there. This isn't quite like Jackalope Horns where you can run across the board and get there. She's got to be adjacent to do that. So it's something to think about if you're playing against. If you want to leave your fighters adjacent to Faith when you don't know if those have come out yet. Now we get into our innies. We'll have Disengage. This is also a common card that many of you have seen. We know that like Bigfoot and some others have this. Attack of 4. Move your fighter to any other space in their zone. So it's a good way to attack with this and then be able to move away so that Angel or Faith, whoever you're attacking with, won't be adjacent and get double attacked on that next turn. We also see this kind of has like Angel's demon face and his regular face split in half there. Next we have Momentous Shift. Well, you're familiar with Momentous Shift. Versatile of 3. If your fighter started this turn in a different space, this card's value is 5 instead. We have a nice purple and yellow thing going on with this that I like. Angel has 3 of these, which is what you typically have with most fighters to have those. Angelus being the only one with just 2 of them. We get to Feint, the versatile of 2. Cancel all effects on your opponent's card. This was a card that was pretty much in almost everybody, although it looks like they may be moving away from that. Going into Volume 2. And another card that most everyone has, Regroup. Versatile 1, draw a card. If you want to combat, draw 2 instead, which will be an interesting thing with Regroup, because with Angel, with his ability, if you use this as an attack, you are pretty much going to get 2 cards either way, because you'll either lose the combat, which means you'll draw a card and draw a card from your ability. Okay, and you'll see that I have kind of just blown through these cards here pretty quick and not spent a whole lot of time with them. And that's because, well, it's all pretty basic here. I don't know that there's a whole lot of cards that really play into each other. There's just, some different stuff going on in here. In many ways, Angel kind of feels like a fan deck that's kind of missing something and needs a little bit done to him. So that's one issue that he has. Another issue that he has is that with Faith having the better cards than Angel, she is going to be taking the feints most of the time. Really what you want people to play feint into would be something like Angelus, but they're not going to play into Angelus with a feint because they're more worried about her 5x5 letting her run off, or Rogue Slayer, which is going to be a lot more than Brooding. I mean, Brooding, you can just play a 3 and you can end up winning. If this is an attack, you could end up just playing a 3 and win and cancel that effect there. Because of so many of Angel's effects having to do with losing, you really end up, if you feint it, you just kind of feint something that wouldn't happen anyway. So Angel's ability is based off of him losing combat. If he loses combat, he gets to draw a card. Now that can be good because that's a way to kind of keep card draw going in there. And when you're attacking, a tie is a loss. So there's a lot of ways that you could end up losing. But let's look at his deck here really quick. Okay, we've got 3 copies of Angelus, Scourge of Europe, which are all 5s. We have 2 copies of 5x5. We have 3 Momentous Shifts, which, if used properly on an attack, are a 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards right there that can be potential attack cards that will not get the card draw there, because there are very few characters that have a 5. Your ability is pretty much just not even working with those. You got all these 4s here with Cursed with a Soul and Disengage. There are 4s out there for defense, but you're not going to necessarily catch all of those, so your chances, you don't expect to lose with these a whole lot, so those are going to be a little bit difficult there for you. We get into these 3s and we're starting getting into stuff that you could start to think about losing on, and you would even still win with these sometimes, especially if they like play a feint or something into it. And then you're getting like your feints and your regroups, which are typically used for defense but could be used as attacks. You probably would lose against these. So really looking at it, you got these guys that you kind of plan on losing when you attack with them. These guys, maybe you lose with them. These, most of the time you're not losing, and these you almost never lose. You're just really not using that ability a lot. It's just kind of like Angel's entire deck makeup kind of works against his ability, that it doesn't let you draw much, and you just don't really get that card draw. The others that have card draw built into their abilities, like Dracula, Bigfoot, and Muldoon, they are all able to get that card draw a lot more often. And so I think that's a few of the things that are kind of working against Angel and kind of make him a little bit difficult to deal with there. Most of the Buffy characters, all of them aside from Buffy, have reputations of being not particularly good, and Buffy herself not being the strongest character. But you can kind of see exactly what's going wrong here with Angel and what's making him so difficult to work with. That you have an ability that doesn't really work with it. Not a lot of things in his deck that play into each other. It's just kind of like a bunch of different card effects thrown in there. And then also Faith being the one that's going to draw most of the feints when you really want them to try to feint Angel's effects more, but they know not to. So anyway, this one's probably a little bit shorter and probably a little bit down on this guy because I've just not found a whole lot of ways to do a lot with him. If any of you out there have found some success with Angel, you are welcome to tell us all about it. I cannot spread cards. If you think I'm being unfair to Angel, you can also leave your comments in there and say anything there that you have to. You can also check out my channel and subscribe to that so you can see the other videos that I have, the other characters that I have made these videos for. So anyway, this is Poindexter G, and we'll see you around.